Well, good morning. It's 8:06. It is a Friday edition of the Neil Larson Show. Calla Curtis also in studio, and we have a great guest, Calla.
Yes, we do. We're very excited to welcome Pastor Jeff Kennedy. Good morning, Pastor Jeff.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And Pastor Jeff Kennedy is the senior pastor at Christ Community Church in Idaho Falls. We invited him in because there's this event happening next week. It's called an Evangelical-Mormon Conversation, two friends discussing grace, God, and their faith. And this is really an opportunity for all people of faith in the community to come together and discuss the things that connect us rather than the things that divide us. Is that why you wanted to be part of it?
Yeah, we really did want to do that. I think our main purpose with this event was to try to understand each other better. And we are of the opinion that when we don't talk, we make up stories about each other.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is not fill in the blanks. We want to hear from our LDS friends about their faith, and we want them to hear from us. And we want to figure out where are some areas where we can agree, where are some areas that we can really have a flourishing dialogue, and then what are some areas where we're contrasting. And so we want to open up those lines of communication.
And a little bit of background. I mean, this event, it really has been months in the works. Larry Hall is a local guy.
Yes.
I would call him a bridge personality. He's the kind of guy that comfortably walks into an LDS church and talks to everybody, comfortably walks into an evangelical congregation and talks to them. And he said, there is a need for this. So he's really spearheaded this and brought all of these people together. And we thought, here at KID, this is an issue in our community, and it's something that we ought to talk about. And if you've been on social media, sometimes people aren't that great at talking about religion or politics or other things. These two gentlemen are fantastic and amazing, Dr. Brad Wilcox and Dr. Stephen Crane, so maybe speak to that.
Yeah, Dr. Wilcox, Brad Wilcox is a BYU professor, and he's also an author. He's written a few books on things like the atonement and grace. And he has one of the more popular talks on grace that's on the BYU website. It's a very good talk. If people are interested in that, they can go on YouTube and find that speech. And then Dr. Crane is a Christian pastor in one of the largest churches in the Boise area. And so he grew up in Utah, and he is very familiar with the LDS faith, and both of them are friends. And they're planning on just having a really cordial conversation. The one thing that we really are trying to communicate to people is that this is really not a debate. This is not a structured debate. We're not looking for a winner. We're not looking for a loser. We're really just looking to understand each other a little bit better.
Do you see a need for that? I mean, I will tell you, I'm LDS, so I'm of the predominant faith here, and I think when that happens, there are things you miss if you're not part of the minority faith or you're not part of that majority. This really kind of is an opportunity to jump outside that bubble, isn't it? Yeah. And say, look, let's look at it from another perspective, not in an antagonistic way, but just in a broader understanding kind of way.
You know, you mentioned Larry Hall, and Larry invited me to a local ward meeting. And I came, and he introduced me to all the bishops and the whole system there, and it was really enjoyable. And one of the funnest things for me was the Sunday school class that they ran. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the LDS call that class, but
Sunday school.
Sunday school. Yeah. There you go. But it was really good for us to come in and sit and really hear what was going on, and not to just, again, make up stories about it. And we have bishops, and we have elders and missionaries sometimes who come to our church and sit in our church services. And so that whole bridge building idea is really important to us. We want to build the bridge, and we want to hear what people have to say, and we don't want to make up stories about them. We just want to know what they believe from them.
Certainly, I think a lot of people will celebrate this idea of people of faith coming together locally, meeting your friends and becoming, or meeting your neighbors and becoming friends with them no matter what your religion is. But there's also maybe a more global idea, and that is you look at the political climate in our country and some of the issues that we're facing,
Sure.
threats to the family, threats to, what most of us would consider just fundamental values that we treasure. And is this also an opportunity for us to recognize, look, we're all in the same fight. We all, need to preserve religious freedom and the family and these traditional Christian values.
I think so. That's not our main purpose. Our main purpose is we really do want to talk about matters of faith. We want to talk about matters of faith with regards to what do we mean when we use the word God? What do we mean when we use the word grace? What do we mean? What do both of us mean when we use the word faith? It's big ideas like that. But to your point, I think our goal is really to model civil discourse, which seems to be absent right now. And regardless of what side you land on, whether you're more conservative or more liberal, it just seems everything has become so shrill. And I think what we need to do is we just need to talk to each other instead of at each other. And what we want to do with this event is model that. And so in terms of values, cultural values, I think that's one that we definitely want to uphold,
We're talking with Pastor Jeff Kennedy. He's the senior pastor at Christ Community Church in Idaho Falls. And we're talking about an upcoming event. It's June 8th. That's this coming Thursday night, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Civic Auditorium in Idaho Falls. You can get free tickets. This doesn't cost anything, but you will want to get tickets, and you can do that just by going online to bradandsteve.com. And maybe in the spirit of a little bit of a preview, Pastor, you've been here in East Idaho for a couple of years. You spent some time in the Panhandle as well. What do you think we can learn, like just in your couple of years here, and getting you're an evangelical pastor living inside a Mormon bubble? So
Right.
what would you say that we can all learn from this?
Well, I think the main thing that we can learn is what we believe, where there are areas of agreement and where there are areas where we contrast, and whether or not those differences are hairline fractures or seismic differences. Are they real, significant differences between us? And I think that's one thing we can learn. I think the other thing that we can learn is to live in the same space, occupy the same space as friendly people and not as enemies. And I don't think the evangelical church should or does see the Mormon church as our enemy. And I don't think the Mormon church should see us that way either. And so an event like this, I think, will teach us how to dialogue without, again, becoming shrill or just dismissing the other person out of hand. I think that's very important.
You mentioned the hairline fractures, and I apologize. I'm always sort of political, but I thought back to when Mitt Romney ran in 2012.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes those hairline fractures felt like the Grand Canyon,
Sure.
Because from a political standpoint, the Mormons and the evangelicals are on the same team. From a cultural, society, even a limited government, in a lot of ways, a standpoint. And so, what would be your takeaway? You were an evangelical pastor during that time that Mitt Romney was running. What are some of your observations about that in how we as Christians approach politics?
I think it's so easy to demonize people that we have disagreements with instead of really trying to understand what it is this person is all about. You take Mitt Romney, for example. You mentioned him. Mitt Romney is a great family man. Mitt Romney had great godly values. Probably would have been an amazing president. I mean, it definitely better than what we've got in my opinion. But so people who did not like certain beliefs that he had, or be they conservative or religious, sort of just magnified those issues into these seismic differences. And that's exactly what we have to stop doing. We have to stop demonizing people we